Do you feel the world is broken?
We do.
Do you feel the shadows deepen?
We do.
But do you know that all the dark won't stop the light from getting through?
We do.
Do you wish that you could see it all made new?
We do.
Is all creation groaning?
It
Is a new creation coming? Is the glory of the Lord to be the light within our midst? Is it good that we remind ourselves of this? Is anyone worthy? Is anyone whole? Is anyone able to break the seal and open the scroll? The Lion of Judah, who conquered the grave. He is David's root and the Lamb who died to ransom the slave. Is he worthy? Is he worthy of all blessing and honor and glory? Is he worthy of this? Does the Father truly love us?
He does.
Does the Spirit move among us?
He does.
And does Jesus, our Messiah, hold forever those he loves?
He does.
Does our God intend to dwell again with us?
He does.
Is anyone worthy? Is anyone whole? Is anyone able to break the seal and open the scroll? The Lion of Judah, who conquered the grave. He is David's root and the Lamb who died to ransom the slave. From every people and tribe, every nation and tongue, he has made us a kingdom and priest to God, to reign with the Son. Is he worthy? Is he worthy of all blessing and honor and glory?
Is he worthy?
the throne of God above, I have a strong and perfect plea, a great high priest whose name is love, whoever lives and pleads for me. My name is graven on his hands, my name is written on his heart. I know that while in heaven he stands, no tongue can bid me thence depart. No tongue can bid me thence depart. When Satan tempts me to despair and tells me of the guilt within, upward I look and see him there, who made an end of all my sin. Because the sinless Savior died, my sinful soul is counted free. For God the just is satisfied to look on him and pardon me, to look on him and pardon me. He pardoned me. Behold him there, the risen Lamb, my perfect, spotless righteousness, the great unchangeable I am, the King of glory and of grace. One with himself I cannot die, my soul is purchased by his blood. My life is hid with Christ on high, with Christ my Savior and my God, with Christ my Savior and my God. One with himself I cannot die, my soul is purchased by his blood. My life is hid with Christ on high, with Christ my Savior and my God. My Savior, my Savior. He pardoned me, my Savior and my God, my worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you, we live for you. Jesus, the name above Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. We live for you.
Welcome, everyone. Now we're going to be talking today about the topic of exercise. This is one of those topics that are sometimes talked about, but not often practiced. Exercise is something very, very important for you and I. And today we're going to be looking at why is it important and how we are blessed by it. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Pedro Naranjo, and I'm a firm believer in God's Word and follower of Jesus. Why do I tell you right off the bat? Because along the latest clinical research that I'll be sharing with you today in the topic of exercise, I'll also be sharing with you the powerful promises from God's Word. And I'll tell you, they are there to be a blessing to you. I have been practicing the health message for more than 23 years. In the area of technology, I'm a solutions architect for an IVM product called CPQ. The area of health, I'm a certified health coach by Dr. Seo's Wellness Institute with 3 specialties, also a member of American College Lifestyle Medicine, and did my studies in Master Herbalist from American College of Healthcare Science. Above all those blessings, I have the biggest blessing, which is married to my beautiful wife, Maria, and our 2 adultish, we call it, children. And we love to share about the amazing things that God has in store for you and I. So let's get right into exercise. Why is it important? And what are the blessings that we get into it? Well, exercise can help us control weight by burning calories. Well, everybody kind of knows about that one, right? How about preventing health conditions and diseases, including heart disease, diabetes, and high blood pressure? It can improve mood and reduce stress. It can boost your energy levels. It can enhance sleep quality. It can strengthen muscle and bones. It will support healthy aging, and it will improve cognitive function. That is how well your mind works. So let's dive into each one of them and understand what we have from each one. Now, at the bottom of my slides, or as a reference that then I can show you after I show you the slides, you will find the full reference to the data that I'm sharing with you. Why is this important? It's not my opinion. It's the clinical research and data that has been gathered that I'm sharing with you. And this is very, very important when it comes to talking about your health with your physician. The physician has studied in, all of the drugs and interactions of the body, etc., but they don't have studies into natural remedies and lifestyle. This is very unfortunate, but it's the reality. And so as you share this, he might think that you're sharing your opinion with them. But you're not. You're sharing clinical studies and data, which is very important so that both could be able to use the latest to improve your health. So let's talk about exercise and weight control. Exercise can help prevent excess weight or help maintain weight loss. When you engage in physical activity, you burn calories. The more intense the activity, the more calories that you burn. Regular trips to the gyms are great, but don't worry if you can't do that. Any amount of exercise is better than not at all. To reap the benefits of exercise, just get more active throughout the day. So in essence, when you look at this, it is better to wear out than to rust out. And I tell you, I prefer to wear out than rust out any day of the week. I like to be out there active in my garden, moving around. My regular job is in the office all the time, but even there, I have a standing desk. Every hour, I try to move and do something. So be active in whatever situation you are. You will find the bigger blessings as you do this. And weight control is one of them. Exercise can help us combat conditions and diseases. Whether it is high blood pressure, high density lipoprotein, which is HDL, the good cholesterol, it will increase that. It will also decrease triglycerides. As you have this too, it will decrease your overall risk of cardiovascular disease. Regular exercise can also help prevent and manage many health concerns and issues like stroke, metabolic syndrome, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, depression, anxiety, and many types of cancers, and of course, arthritis. It will also help improve cognitive function and help lower the risk of death from all causes. This is something interesting because when you look at studies, you might find that XYZ substance or situation that you're studying may help in one area. But exercise is something that can help you in all areas to be able to lower your risk of death from all causes overall. So when we do exercise, we reap all of these benefits that we talked about here. How about improving our mood? A lot of times, if you feel like having the blues, the best way to wear them out is to do some exercise. I remember that, if I get a cold coming on, you feel kind of achy. And that's the least time that you feel like doing some rigorous exercise. But let me tell you, if you pull yourself up to do it by God's grace, you will reap the benefits. It's something that improves your mood. We have actually some counsel that if you feel like picking up a fight with somebody, go do an exercise like chopping wood. And I tell you, it will spend that energy and will help you redirect all that energy into something productive like cutting wood instead of trying to pick up a fight with somebody else. So, when we go to the gym, physical exercise stimulates various brain chemicals that may lead you to feeling happier and more relaxed and less anxious. You may feel also better about yourself when you exercise regularly, which will then boost your self-esteem, in a sense of looking at the accomplishments that you're able to do. I'm sure that you all remember that when the year begins, everybody talks about New Year resolutions. And part of those sometimes is the fact that, I want to do more exercise. And perhaps we begin those New Year resolutions. But you know what happens in the middle of the year? You find yourself outside of the New Year resolutions. And that's because one thing or another of life came in and now you stop for one reason or another and it's no longer there. So keeping that routine and doing the exercise daily as part of routine is very, very important. It will give you more energy. Sometimes people say, well, I'm too tired to exercise. I don't have enough energy. But lo and behold, when you exercise, it actually gives you better energy or more energy. Regular physical activity can improve muscle strength and boost your endurance. Exercise delivers oxygen and nutrients to your tissue, and it helps you with the cardiovascular system work more efficiently. And so obviously as you do this, you also improve your oxygen level, having more air to your lungs, and so you'll feel more up to doing the chores and the things that you need to do to get moving. How about sleeping better? Sometimes we might feel like we're not able to sleep well. And one of the things I tell people is, are you exercising regularly? Are you doing enough strength exercise, strength-bearing exercise that can help you be tired, physically tired, that you can have a good night's sleep? I'm sure that all of you have experienced this. If you have a good day of work outside in your garden, or chopping wood, or moving something where you are physically tired, that night you hit the pillow and it's almost like it was gone. You're tired, you wanted to rest. And that is a benefit of exercise. We are created to move, to be able to get things moving. And sometimes if we just don't do something that carries that level of exercise, we might not be able to sleep good. Well, when we have regular physical activity, it can help you fall asleep faster and get better sleep and deepen your sleep. Now, this is important. This is talking about the REM period of sleep when you get that deep cycle tissue repair. That is very, very important. So you got to get exercise into your routine. Like it says here, just make sure that you don't do that exercise too close to your bedtime because you might be too energized to go to sleep. All right, so make sure that you do that exercise before that. This is something very, very important, especially for those of you who are married. Exercise can actually put that spark back into your married life when it comes to intimacy. Regular physical exercise can improve energy levels. It increases your confidence in your physical appearance, and it may boost your husband's and wife intimate life. It's been shown that regular physical exercise may enhance arousal for women, and men who exercise regularly are less likely to have problems with ED, erectile dysfunction, than men who don't do exercise. I tell you, the benefits are incredible, and especially for men. If you're listening to me, this is very, very important. You got to keep moving because those organs that God has put there are actually muscles. So if there is no good circulation, certainly for men, ED will be something that you'll be dealing with. So very important to have regular exercise because it will be a blessing into your intimate life. And exercise can be fun. It can be social. You can actually go up there this morning as I was going up there to catch the sunrise. And it was just gorgeous, I tell you. As you go up the mountain here, you can catch the sun rising over the mountain range. And it's just beautiful. And as I was enjoying the flowers and the things, I noticed that there was an elderly gentleman who was, walking up the kind of like a little slope up his driveway and then incorporating himself on the main highway where I was walking. And so there he was. He was doing exercise. He understood the benefit of these things, and early in the morning is the best time. So, we chatted, I say hello, and we just have a little interchange of words, and I continue on. I was on a mission to bring a flower back to my wife, so I want to make sure that I get there with that flower. So in any case, exercise can be fun, and it can be the opportunity for a social activity. I personally like to do exercise in the morning as well when I get up and walk and pray. I like to take those two and combine it because not only does it give me the opportunity to see the beauty of nature and talk to God as my creator, but it also gives me that extra boost of energy and oxygen. So this morning, I think I did about 3 miles, and that was such a blessing. And you are able to do that just enjoying the time as you talk with God. It could be a real blessing. Okay. Let me read you this quotation, which comes from one of my favorite authors, and it's such a blessing. It says, physical exercise and labor combined may have a happily influence upon the mind, strengthen the muscle, improve the circulation, and give the invalid or the person that is sick the satisfaction knowing his own power of endurance. Whereas, so in contrast, if he is restrained from health or exercise and physical labor, his attention is turned to himself. He is in constant danger of thinking himself worse than he really is, and having established that within himself a disease of imagination which causes him to continually fear that he is overtaxing his powers of endurance. What is the resolution? As a general thing, if he should engage in some well-directed labor, so that is, don't go above and beyond what you can do, but something that is within your realm, using his strength and not abusing it, he will find that physical exercise could prove a more powerful and effective agent in his recovery than even that of hydrotherapy or water treatment that he is receiving. This happened in one of our sanitariums, and it was clear counsel. You got to keep moving. Doing that exercise could be a real blessing, even more so than some other things that are more passive, like just hydrotherapy. Well, let's look at the herbs that could be a blessing as we look at exercise. Now, the little blurb at the bottom tells you that I am not your doctor. I am not a doctor. I am an herbalist. And my job is to share with you the amazing things that God has in nature for you. So make sure that you consult with your doctor as you make changes. Well, how about ginseng? It's one of the most studied herbs when it comes to improving physical performance and exercise. It is a wonderful herb because the clinical study shows us that ginseng have been associated with exercise performance. It improved exercise performance, including physical and physical motor performance, as well as enhanced mood and vigor. It also shows that it has antioxidant and anti-cancer effects. This is ginseng. These properties have been studied with both basic and clinical research. It has been examined for potential anti-cancer effect. This is ginseng. If you can see it there, that root, which is what I show on the left, it looks like a person. You see the little legs and the little arms, if you use your imagination a little bit. It could enhance your immune system. These herbs have been noted for its potential for boost immunity, making it a subject of interest in various clinical trials. It has been also shown to have cardiovascular benefits. Clinical studies and reviews have indicated the potential cardiovascular benefits of ginseng, including antioxidation, modifying of vascular function, reducing platelet adhesion, that is so that you don't have those clots being formed, influencing the ion channels so that you have more ion intake in your blood, which then helps in turn make good blood, red blood cells specifically, altering the autonomic neurotransmitter release and improving lipid profiles, that is your cholesterol levels. So very, very important what this herb can do in your life and my life. It can also enhance metabolic and neurological diseases, or not enhance it, I'm sorry, help in that. Ginseng has been explored as a potential benefit of combating cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and neurological diseases through clinical research. It is also being shown to enhance physical performance and mental performance in the clinical studies that have been done. In general, it is a general therapeutic function which has been shown to have cardiovascular, metabolic disease, that is things dealing with diabetes, obesity, hypertension, or hypo and hyper when it comes to thyroidism for your thyroid, metabolic syndrome, this issues with your lipid profile, gout, and the list goes on and on. I mean, it is an excellent herb that can help in so many areas. And that is something that the Lord has given us that is a real blessing. Now, how could you use it? The most simple way to do it is, for most people, is to just take it in powder form. So they buy it in a capsule and they take it. That's usually basically following the directions in your bottle. Or you can do a glyceride or buy a glyceride that is already done. Generally, I recommend 5 to 10 millimeters, and you take that 30 minutes before your breakfast and lunch. Here is the clinical data, the information that I was showing you before. This is very important for the reason that if you have a conversation with your doctor, you will be able to share with him the fact that this is not just your opinion, this is based on clinical research. Well, how about this? I'll give you another herbs as a bonus. This is something that I was sharing recently in Guatemala, which is the papaya seeds. And this is something that you can easily access here in the States. Over there, they have the fresh fruit. But what can you use papaya seeds that will be a real blessing? Well, it will kick out those guys who are in your GI tract that are not paying for rent. And that is those worms. Yes, indeed, you could have worms in your GI tract. It is 17 feet long for your small intestine, and then followed by about 3 feet of your large intestine. So you have over 20 feet, and they like to come and live there without paying for rent, and they cause all sort of trouble. And so when you look at these parasites, papaya seeds are an amazing blessing. In the study, it was shown that for children, it was able to eliminate 76% of those who consume the function of the parasite, or the infusion of the papaya seeds, compared to only 16% in the placebo group, meaning those that were not taking that. And so it shows that it certainly can help to make sure that those worms are kicked out and killed out of the system. This is also another study showing that it was used in a broad study for children in this area, and so it's safe. You are able to take it up to 10 grams, and it's able to kill and move those parasites out, and it is very, very safe. And so instead of taking some other nasty things that could not be beneficial for you, you can take papaya seeds in powder, and it could really cleanse the GI tract for you. Here are the references to those studies that I mentioned that are a real blessing. And here is a very simple way based on the study that you can take it. You can take a picture if you like to kind of use it later on as a reference. This could be something that you can use to make sure that you cleanse the GI tract completely. Okay, let's come back to the topic of exercise, and let's talk about how could we have that practical exercise that we need to have every day? How can we incorporate it in whatever condition we find ourselves in? So these are some general guidelines of practical ways in which you could do it. For me personally, I like to take that morning prayer walk. Not only do you get the benefits of the negative ions that you find in the fresh air, the opportunity for you to tell the Lord all the things that are in your heart, but you also get the benefits of exercise. So taking the morning walk, it's a very easy way for you to get that exercise in. How about taking a little walk after your meals? This is also very, very important because it massages the food in your stomach to be able to help the stomach in its work of getting that food ready to go through the duodenum into the small intestines. So taking a little walk, I call it a digestive walk, could be a real blessing for you. That's not just something that people invented. There is a lot of data behind that could be a real blessing. Now, as a general guideline, we're told, especially by the research of Mayo Clinic, that you should have about 150 minutes a week of moderate activity. That means something where you are engaged that raises your heartbeat to about 120 beats per minute. Per minute. You should have about 75 minutes a week of vigorous exercise. This is in a week. And this could be something that certainly pushes your endurance level. All right, and overall, you should have, to enhance weight loss, more than 300 minutes a week of exercise. Now, I'm going to show you how you do that in a very practical way that will be a blessing. I'm actually going to demonstrate some of this for you, and you will see what I mean in a moment. It will be a real blessing. For me, practically, I kind of keep this rule of thumbs of doing something active every hour. So for instance, in my case, I go to the office very early in the morning as I'm ready to go my work, and I literally spend my pretty much whole day in the office. So what do? Well, instead of sitting myself in the office there and talking to my colleagues, I have a standing desk. So I put my desk up and I work standing up rather than sitting down. But every hour I have an alarm that goes on. And every hour I have an alarm that says it's time to pray. So for me, I take a moment, I read a Bible promise, I have a little moment of prayer and do something active. So I might just repeat that promise or try to memorize it as I take a little walk around, the parking lot. Or I might just do some push-ups or do some trotting in place in my office if I am in between meetings and I cannot go. But the point is, make sure that you do something active every hour. And believe me, if you look at my schedule, it could be heavy. Sometimes I have 7 hours of back-to-back meetings, literally back-to-back from one meeting to the other. But I take just a little minute and have my prayer, do a little bit of exercise, drink a little bit of water, and just be able to move over to the next task so that I'll be invigorated by exercise. I also, and this is backed up by clinical research, I do exercise before breakfast. Very, very important. Because that's the time when you burn the most calorie and engage all of your systems. You have gone through a fast now, and you are now pretty much making sure that your body is doing the best it can to do that. And so, making sure that you do exercise, you do your strength training. If you can do it before breakfast, it will be even better for you. And I'm going to show you how you can do that in a practical way. Over the years, as I talk about this whole topic of exercise, people come up with different excuses. Oh, Pedro, I had my gym membership, but it costs too much, so I had to cut it down and I couldn't go. Or you know what? I have the gym membership, I can pay for it, no problem, but it's such a troublesome to have to drive there and do it and come back. I'm just too busy. I don't have time for this. Or I'm too tired. I don't want to do that. So I said, Lord, there's got to be a way to do exercise that is good for everybody, that is clinically researched, that has both strength and cardiovascular bound into it, and that everybody could do. And lo and behold, the Lord, in His mercy, introduced me to the concept of HVT. That's high volume training, not high velocity training or high vigorous training. It's high volume training. Very important to not get confused with HIT, which is high intensity training. These are formalities that have come out now recently, but HVT is one of those forms that have been done for a long time. And so I put together what I actually learned it from Dr. Nick, and I did some small modifications to it to be able to use this that can be used for everybody. The blessing of this program, and that is something that you can do if you're 90 years old or 5 years old. It doesn't matter because it adapts to your strength level. And you can do it right at home. As a matter of fact, I'm going to have a little bit of a live demonstration for you where I'm going to show you this right here in our lecture. So let me walk you through it. The first thing you have to do is figure out your HVT number. And you might be thinking, what in the world is that? Okay, that is the number that you are going to use throughout your training. And you will see that it's part of each exercise that you do. So if you're a female, I encourage you to start with 1. So if you're a female, HVT number is 1. If you're a male, I encourage you to start with 5. Okay, so ladies, 1, guys, start with 5. So what do? You then do it in this sequence. Okay, you start a little lap timer and you do 5, in this case for a guy, 5 push-ups. Okay, making sure that your back is straight. All right. After that, you do 5 leg raises. All right. And you make sure that as you raise your legs, you never touch the ground again. And I'm going to demonstrate this for you so that you see what I'm talking about. After that, you follow by 5 squats. And these squats need to be so that your feet are flat as you do in this exercise. Then you follow by your HVT number plus 10 over the head presses. Those are the ones when you go like this. Okay. And I normally, when I'm at home, I do it with the broom, okay? Just a stick. So I want both arms to go up and down at the same level. Or you might get a walking stick like the one that I'm going to use here to demonstrate. Whichever way, just make sure you go up up and down. And then you tap the lap button in your chronometer. So what this does is that it keeps the time running, but it then begins a second timer where you can see that you have 30 seconds to rest. So you wait exactly 30 seconds and you repeat the cycle over again. And you do this 8 times. All right? So let me repeat the whole cycle. You do the HVT number of push-ups, leg raises, squats, the over-the-head dumbbells. And then after that, you go ahead and you wait 30 seconds and you do it over again. And you do this 8 times. Okay, what this is doing is combining cardiovascular with strength exercise. And believe me, once you finish, you're going to feel like $1,000. It's a real blessing. All right. You might say to me, well, Pedro, that is nice, but I can't do it because I'm injured, or perhaps in my condition, I need to do what is called low impact exercise for whatever situation you might find yourself in. Perhaps you have too much weight on you and you have to do something low impact because your knees are already hurting. By the way, for every pound that you have extra, your knees feel it 4 times more. So if you're carrying 10 pounds extra, your knees are carrying 40 pounds more each. And so, of course, that settles in later on as pain and, arthritis, etc. So this here is called the elliptical. It's a very simple low-impact exercise machine. It's a real blessing, and it could be something that everyone could use. And you basically stand there, and as you move up and down, it's like you're doing steps at the same time that you're moving your arms, okay? And so it moves not only the lower, but the upper part of the body. Very, very important. Another one that is very much a blessing is the little trampoline. Now, this is not for you to jump and do backflips and everything on it. No, it's just for you to bounce on it, okay? And be gentle. Especially if you're a female, be gentle if you are in your cycle, because while the trampoline could be a blessing, if you overdo it, your ovaries will let you know, okay? And your pain will let you know. So make sure that you do it easy, taking it easy, you bounce on it. That action of bouncing and tightening your muscles as you're bouncing lightly on it, it's really what we're looking at. Some people walk in it, and that's the same thing. It's whichever way you want to look at it, but it's very, very, very good for you. According to Leaps and Rebounds, 5 minutes of jumping in a trampoline, it's equivalent, according to the research, to 1 mile walk. Just 5 minutes. I'm sorry. Yeah, 5 minutes. Jumping in a trampoline. So it's a very good thing for you to do. Just do it carefully. And if you have the kind that have the little bar that you can hold on and do it, if you don't have good balance, that's even better. As I share this with you, it's very important that we put it in practice. So I want to encourage you, I'm going to give you 30 seconds, that you take time and think when you're going to incorporate this in your personal routine. Okay, so I'm going to give you 30 seconds now, and I want you to think, when can I incorporate this? When can I put this in my schedule? Jot it down. If you're a lady, write down your HVT number. If you're a guy, you know what your HVT number is. Ladies, 1, men, 5. And I'm going to show you the secret of this as I do the demonstrations later. But take some time. You have a couple of seconds left to, in your mind or in your phone or a piece of paper, say, okay, I'm going to do my exercise at this time. I'm going to make sure that it happens as part of my daily activities. Folks, this is very important because it doesn't serve you any good if you sit here and you listen to me and at the end of the story, you don't take it into your life and put it in practice. Very, very important. I know that it's a pain sometimes, but I can tell you I've been practicing this for years, and every time that I do it, even though I might feel tired because sometimes working in the garden, moving wood, chopping wood, etc., where we live in the country, we got to do all those things. It gets you tired. However, when I do it, I am always thankful. I call it my medicine. And so I tell the Lord, I got to drink my medicine this morning, and I go do my exercise before I begin my work and in the very beginning of my day. And I am very blessed because of that. So I'm going to tell you the little secret about this. The secret of this exercise training system is that every month you add 1 to your HVT number. Okay, what was the secret again? Every month you add how many? 1 to your HVT number. So that means that if you're a female and you're doing 1 push-up and 1 leg lift and leg raise, and 1 squat and 11 dumbbells or raise over the head, and then you're repeating that, waiting 30 seconds, repeating that 8 times, next month you're going to do how many? 2 of each one of those. So it'll be 2 push-ups and 2 leg raises and et cetera, et cetera. And every month you add 1. You know what's going to happen is that it will increase your endurance over time. And it will challenge you. And that's something that is very, very important. As you continue doing that, it will tune your body and you will be able to gain more and more strength. Okay? So that is the secret. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you what I do at home, how I do it, and the proper position for each one. Not only for men, but also for ladies, because sometimes we're not sure how to do some of the stuff that are there. So I'm going to show what I do. So I have just a regular exercise mat, and I just pretty much put that up there. This is something you can carry with you anywhere you go, and it could be such a blessing. I'm going to put it here. All right, very good. And to do the latter part, I do a walking stick. This is a fancy one that you can just go like that. And so I have now a straight base, or you just do the broom. That works just as well. That's what I use at home, but before I had this guy. And it could be a real blessing. So, all right, so if you're looking at your routine, what is the first exercise? What is the first exercise that we're going to do in that HVT routine? Push-ups, that's right. So let's talk about push-ups. All right, so to do push-ups, the very first thing you do is you kneel down. And you swing your arms just naturally as they go like this, and you go down. Okay? Now, for men, you go ahead and straighten your body. Now, a proper push-up is like this. Not like this, or like this. it's like this. Make sure your back is straight, your weight is in your arms, and you go down, okay? Keep posture, and you go up. Make sure that you're doing the exercise properly, and that is going to ensure that you have proper tension in the abdominal area and the weight is on the arms. If you're doing it properly, you will feel a tenseness on your abdominal area as you go up and down, and it will strengthen the upper part of your body. For ladies, it's very important that you do the ladies push-ups. It's a little bit different. So for ladies, you do the same thing. You kneel down and you swing your arms as we did before. You cross your legs and you take one step forward with your arms. And you go down and you go up. And what you're going to notice is that that's going to be very gentle in your abdominal area. Why is that? Because you do not want to overstress the area of the ovary, especially if you're passing through the different parts of your period. So that's a ladies push-up versus a men's push-up, okay? That's very, very important. So after that, what was the very next one that we were going to do? Yes, after that, it will be raising our legs. So to do this, obviously, it's very simple. You just go ahead and go down and make sure that you take your hands palms down, and you put them underneath your gluteus maximus, okay? And you're then able to raise your leg and take it down, but notice, don't touch the floor again. And when you do this, you're going to feel your abdominal area tensing up because you have to hold out those legs there, and then you go up again, and then you go down. Okay, so you do this the number of times that you have to be able to move forward. All right, very next one is when you go down as you do your squats, which is the very next one there. Yes. Now for squats, make sure that your legs are open at the same position as your shoulders. So it's not like this, and it's not like this, okay? It's got to be at the same position or at the same level of your shoulders. And then you put your arms forward. The reason for that is because you want to push your behind backwards, okay? So you go like this, and then you go up. That keeps you balanced so that you're able to do it, all right? So you want to push back and go like this. Notice my feet are flat. That's because I'm pushing my behind backwards as I go down and I'm coming up. Okay, that puts all of the movement and all of the weight on the legs, which is the biggest muscle that you have in your body. And that helps to move that forward. Very next exercise that we have is the dumbbells or over the head presses. And so in this one, the important part is that you bring it down to your more chest level like this for your arms. And you want to go up beyond your head, okay? And you want to go down. It's very easy, but you want to do it fast, all right? The point of this exercise is not that you're carrying weight, but rather that you are doing it fast. And what's happening is that as you're doing this, okay, and I'm doing it slower because I have mics and a bunch of stuff on that if I do it fast, it might come off. But if you're doing it fast, as you're doing this movement, your heart has to pump blood upwards. And so that puts more pressure on your heart so that it pumps that blood and accelerates the blood flow that you have. So think about this for a moment. We started with push-ups. Where did that move the blood? Into the chest area. Then we moved down to what? Leg lifts. Where did that move the blood? Into the abdominal area. Then we went down to what? The squats. Where did that move the blood? To the leg area. And now we're going back up to the over the head presses. What did that do to the blood? It moved it all the way up again. So you get in this whole blood transfusion, if you want to call it, circulating all throughout your body as you're doing the exercises. It's very powerful, and I am in the process, if God permits, I like to actually write an actual paper about this so that you can be shown that this movement actually may give you even the equivalent of a blood transfusion because of all that blood movement that you're having when you finish doing the overall exercise. So it's very, very important that you follow this and that you do one more every month. Every month you add one more. Now, for me personally, I'm in number 14. Believe me, when I finish doing my exercise routine, I am tired. It challenges me because when I'm in my last rep and I'm doing push-ups and I come to the 14th, I got to breathe in, and my wife says, I hear you going, breathing over there vigorously because I'm tired. It really pushes my physical endurance. But when you look at it, it could be a real blessing. Now, over time, as I develop more strength, then I'll be able to move to 15. So if in one more month, I'll try it. If I can't, that's okay. But if I could, then I'll move it to 15 and eventually move into a higher number as my strength increases. All right. Very good. So let me move this out of the way, and we can continue on for the rest of the stuff that we have here. Let's just put it here. And we're going to have Q&A here coming up in a little bit. But before that, I want to tell you an incredible story that happened to this gentleman when he was told, get ready to die from coronary artery disease. I'm talking about no one else but Nathan Pritikin. This gentleman was an inventor and engineer, and he was diagnosed with severe coronary artery disease, or CAD, in his early 40s. His doctors advised him that his heart disease was progressive and irreversible. In this time, when he had it, this gentleman refused his prognosis and began studying scientific literature on diet, exercise, and heart disease. He focused on cultures that had low incidence of cardiovascular disease, many of which follow a plant-based whole food diet and their active lifestyle. What happened afterwards? He developed his own lifestyle protocol. Daily walking and aerobic activity, low-fat, high-fiber plant-based diet, stress reduction, and rest emphasis. He then applied these same things into his own life, and it improved his cholesterol level dramatically. The symptoms of painful over the heart or angina disappeared completely, and his blood pressure normalized. He was so impressed by the results that he had received that he went on to establish the Pritikin Longevity Center in California in 1986. I'm sorry? 76, I'm sorry. Thank you. The clinical data from his center showed that in an average of 3 weeks, cholesterol was reduced by 23%. You're talking about just lifestyle changes, including the exercise in there. Triglycerides dropped by 33%. Weight loss, an average of 8 to 15 pounds in 3 weeks. Blood pressure normalized in most hypertensive patients, and many type 2 diabetes reduced or discontinued their medication completely. Now, unfortunately, Nathan himself died later on from leukemia, a type of cancer not related to heart disease at all. And when he died, he actually asked for his body to be autopsied so that they could examine the life proof of his own work in his own arteries. And so this was done by Dr. Howard Waney, which is the director of non-invasive cardiology unit in Mercy Hospital in San Diego. And he found that his arteries were soft, clear, and plaque-free. No signs of heart disease whatsoever. Remember, this is the same gentleman that years before was diagnosed with advanced CAD, and he was going to die, basically. That was the prognosis. Dr. Wayne stated that his arteries looked like those of a young person. Okay? This contradicted, the conclusion is that this contradicted decades of mainstream cardiology that heart disease was irreversible. What a blessing with simple things that God has given us, like lifestyle and exercise. You know, friends, this is the clinical research behind it that was done, and the references if you wanted to check it out. This reminds me of this beautiful, beautiful promise. For I will restore health upon thee. I will heal thee of thy wounds, says the Lord, because they call you an outcast, saying, this is Zion, who no man seeks after. In this beautiful promise from God's word, you are reminded that God has amazing things for us if we will only learn about them and put them in practice. All right, so I know we cover a lot of things here, so I'm going to give you 5 minutes if you if you have questions, I'm happy to answer those for you now. And as you ask your question, I'll repeat it again into the audience so that they can listen and be able to go from there. Any questions that you might have about exercise or natural remedies or anything else that is related to this topic? And if we don't have any questions, that's okay. We can move on. But yes, madam.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
About stretching.
Okay.
I don't know exactly what part of whole body stretching. But what does that do for us?
What does that do for us? So let me, I will address both areas of this for stretching. Stretching, not to be confused with yoga, are two different things, okay? So, and the reason why I say that is because when I say stretching, in the terms of exercise, most people think, oh, you want to do some yoga and so on and so forth. So yoga itself uses stretching, but stretching does not need to have yoga or the Eastern meditational practices involved in it. Because those practices have been shown that they actually are conducive of invoking spirits and all the spiritualistic aspect that it has with it. So that aside, stretching itself is very, very important, as also the ability to warm up. So, in very practical sense, before you do exercise of any kind, you want to normally warm up and stretch the different parts of your body. All right? So, for instance, for me, the easiest way to kind of warm up is doing jumping jacks. Why? Because you are moving not only the lower but the upper extremities of the body and making sure that there is enough blood flow in there. After that, if you wanted to stretch different parts of your body that you were going to work out, like let's say the arms or the legs or the torso area, you are absolutely able to do that, not a problem. It is actually good as a respiratory therapy to make sure that after you do a strenuous exercise, you stretch as well those areas to make sure that the muscle is able to be stretched and then contracted lightly and be able to kind of fall back in form or relax it as well. That's as far as the benefit that it has. The extra benefit that other people find into it when it's combined with other modalities like the Eastern modalities from yoga, etc., then they say that it brings in more relaxation and that kind of things. But again, personally, I don't recommend that because it has other things that I don't normally want to be partaker of. But overall stretching, very, very important, especially if you're kind of rusty in that area. Overall, you definitely want to stretch to warm up that part of the body. That's the key part. And as you do that, then you are in better condition to be able to engage in exercising that. So good question. Appreciate that. All right. Any other questions that you might have? Any other thoughts? Yes, madam.
You mentioned exercise in the morning because there are certain ions. What's the word?
What was the negative ions? Okay, her question is, I mentioned exercise in the morning because there's certain ions in there, negative ions. So what I was referring to is that in the morning, as you have learned from the lecture on air, in the morning before 9 p.m. or so, you find negative ions in the air. What is that? Well, these are things that are found on areas where there is waterfalls or water movement, the sea or water.
9 a.m.
Correct. Yes, from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. per the research is the highest time where these negative ions are there. Once the sun rises and it becomes in its full strength, then the negative ions pretty much disappear. Or not disappear completely, but they attenuate much greater. The negative ions, that's a great question, follow-up question. What do negative ions do? Negative ions will enhance your immune system and also enhance your mood, among many other things. But it's part of that fresh air that not only brings oxygen, but it enhances overall performance and mood and overall pretty much your immune system. That's the word that I was looking for. Very good question. All right, any other questions that you might have about exercise or any area of natural health that we talked about? All right, very good. I think our time actually is up for Q&A. So let's move on to the goals. Overall, I want you to think about this. When are you going to put it in practice? That's the most important question for you and I. As you are considering this amazing information that you are now have knowledge of, when are you going to put it in practice? That is where the rubber meets the road. Make sure that you're putting time to do exercise every day. Come back for the next lectures. We're going to take a little break. We're going to have, you can go to the bathroom. We'll have singing as well. And then we'll come into the next lecture that will be a real blessing. Until then, may God bless you. Ready. So welcome back, friends. Today we're going to be talking about water, something that it is an immense blessing that God has given us to not only cleanse the inside, but also the outside as well. My name is Pedro, and this is just a little bit about myself. If this is the first lecture you're catching on, I'm a firm believer in God and a believer of Jesus. Why do I tell you that after bat? Because along with the latest clinical research, I'm also going to be sharing with you the amazing promises from God's Word. I've been practicing the health message for more than 23 years. On the side of technology, I'm a solutions architect from an IVM product called CBQ. On the side of health, I'm a certified health coach from Dr. Seal's Wellness Institute, but I also did all the three specialities. A professional member of American College Lifestyle Medicine. I also did my studies in Master Herbalist from American College of Healthcare Science. But more important than that, I am married to my beautiful wife Maria and have two adultish children, we call them. And we enjoy sharing about health. And today, we're going to talk about the elixir of life, water. Why is it important? Why not just drink soda? It's so much more tasty than water. Well, you will learn why in a moment, and it will be a real blessing for you. So the importance of water, what does it do for you and I? It maximizes physical performance. It boosts energy levels and brain function. It helps to regulate body temperature. It aids in digestion and prevents constipation. It may help prevent and treat headaches. Incredible. It might help with weight loss, and it would help remove toxic waste from your kidneys and make sure that they are working properly. So let's go one by one. It maximizes physical performance. Drinking enough water helps us maintain physical performance, especially during exercise or heat. Even a 2% dehydration can cause fatigue, reduce strength, and poor temperature control. It supports brain function by improving concentration, mood, and memory, and reduces feelings of fatigue and anxiety. You're not talking about some wonder drug, you're talking about water. Okay, this is in the research. Water aids digestion, prevents constipation, helps regulate body temperature, and it's such a blessing. Staying hydrated may help reduce headaches and support weight loss. So it's a full package that God has given us to make sure that you are running at your top performance in every area of your body. Significantly affects energy levels and brain functions. Mild dehydration, 1 to 3% of body weight loss, can impair brain function, energy levels, mood, and memory. You're talking about something that you might lose if you're not careful, if you're sweating too much up there in the sun and not hydrating yourself. 1.4 fluid loss in women reduce concentration and mood and increase the headaches. 1.6 fluid percent loss in men, working men, increase fatigue and anxiety. And even, a water loss for a person can significantly impact mental performance. This has been shown in studies for children, adults, and elderly as well. So making sure that we are hydrated is very, very important. If you're working out there in the garden and you're sweating, or you're making important decisions, whatever condition you find yourself in, make sure that you are well hydrated. How about headaches? When you go to the hospital and you are admitted into the ED, into the emergency department, now what they used to call emergency room, what is the very first thing that they normally do? What is the very first procedure that they do when you come in and you lay on your hospital bed? Anybody? They might, yes, they can look at the blood pressure, that is true. But very soon after, they poke you and they put some magic liquid into you. What is that? It's an IV. That is true. It's intravenous. But what is it that they're putting in the IV? It's water and electrolytes, basically. It's water and potassium and magnesium so that you can have enough hydration. Why would they do this? Because they found that in more than 90% of all cases that are admitted into the emergency room, they're dehydrated. Bar to none. The very first thing they do, they hydrate you. And sometimes for just being hydrated and staying there for half an hour to an hour after you receive the hydration, it makes you feel better. You can do that without paying the thousands of dollars that it takes to be in the emergency room by just simply drinking water. So, dehydration is the common headache trigger, including migraines. In one study of 102 men, drinking 1.5 liters of extra water daily significantly improved the migraine-related quality of life. 47% of the water group reported headache improvements compared to only 25% of those that did not partake of the water. So this research suggests that water intake may help reduce headaches, frequency and severity, but more high-quality studies are needed, of course, to be able to learn about these things. So making sure that we're drinking enough water to eliminate those headaches are very important. Now, this, I have to say, is one of my favorite slides because it shows a reality, I tell you, that a lot of people have to deal with. And in there, you find that poor guy sitting on the throne, but he is having a hard time trying to do his business when he is sitting on the throne. And then you also find the guy on the top who is there with an astronaut suit as he goes into the bathroom. That's because there must be almost like what seems to be an atomic bomb that was dropped there before. And so the idea here, folks, is that sometimes we are dealing with constipation. This is something that is not fun. Although the pictures make it look funny, I tell you, if you're going through it, it's not funny one bit. Especially if you have acquired constipation because of pain medications or other drugs. It could really solidify you and create more pain for you, which is not what you're looking for. So, water can help you release constipation. Lower water intake is a known risk for constipation in both younger and older adults. Increasing fluid intake is often effective in relieving and preventing constipation. Mineral water high in magnesium and sodium have been shown to improve bowel movement frequency and stool consistency. Hydration is essential. It is very important. It is very helpful for those who want to have regular bowel movements. If you don't have enough water, you will be most likely dehydrated. So very, very important that you are keeping enough water with you so you can move forward. My wife is a real blessing for this because everywhere she goes, she's like, did you fill up the water bottle? And I said, well, honey, they have water in the church where we're going. It's like, no, we might want to drink water as we're driving. So she is a real blessing to us because wherever she goes, she takes that water bottle. And that's important. Make sure you keep water with you, good quality water, which we're going to get to in a moment, which will be a blessing. More important than that, waters can actually help improve your kidneys. Now, kidneys are number 2 filter of the water of the body. Where is number 1 filter of the body? What is it? What do you guys think? If kidneys are number 2, very good. The liver is the number 1 filter of the body. It's the largest filter of the body. And you have 2 kidneys because they filter all that blood that goes through. But the liver actually does a lot of that filtering for us. The blood goes right from the duodenum, the entry point of the small intestine, and it flows right into the liver. It gets cleansed and filtered, goes right back out. It's very, very, very important filter. But water and the fluids also affect number 2 filter, which is our kidneys. Kidney stones, which are most common in the urinary tract form, are formalized by crystals that form in the kidneys. Where do these crystals come from? They come from sources like minerals, like calcium. Let's say you had water that was high in calcium. You could actually get calcium stones from there. But it doesn't come in its majority from there. You know where it comes from in its majority? From soft drinks. Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola, and all the colas put together. All of those soft drinks are literally killing you. They are creating these stones in your kidneys that have to filter it. And later on, I tell you, you will pay the price. It's not fun to have kidney stones. Evidence shows that increased fluid intake helps with preventing kidney stone recurrence, especially in people with history of kidney stones. I remember being in the hospital with a loved one who was going through an episode of kidney stones, and the nurse who was attending to us, he said, this is incredible because my wife gets kidney stones like clockworks every 3 years. And that just kind of left me puzzled, and I was thinking, wow, his wife gets kidney stones every 3 years like clockworks. And so I said, sir, would you mind if I ask you some questions? He said, no, go right ahead. I said, do you have well water? He said, yes, I do. I said, do you drink that water normally from the well? And he said, yeah, I drink the well water. And I said, you might want to look into your well water, as it could be a cause of this, together with soft drinks and other things, because they might be calcifying your kidneys in that regard. He said, it's funny that you say that, because it used to be a longer period of time, but when we moved to the country and started drinking the well water that was not filtered, it actually then increased, that frequency to 3 years. So making sure you have adequate water intake, very, very important. Needless to say, in our home, we have well water. We live in the country, and our well water was from somewhere 150 to 200 parts per million. And we filtered that down with reverse osmosis all the way down to 5 parts per million, which is very clean water. If you had, let's say, the steam distilled water system, that will take it to 0 parts per million, which is even better. So you want to drink the purest water that you can find. That is the best for you. Well, the clinical research also shows that if you have a hangover, water can actually help you with a hangover. Now, do I advise you to drink alcohol so that you can have a hangover and then drink water to cure the hangover? No, let me tell you, I got better news for you. Don't drink alcohol. Problem solved. You will never have a hangover. You will never make a fool of yourself. You will never be able to literally kill yourself slowly, because we have been shown by the clinical research that every amount of alcohol, any amount whatsoever, it's taking days of life from your life. It's detrimental to your health. It used to be believed that only certain amount of alcohol was detrimental and that some amount of alcohol was beneficial. But it's been shown that any amount of alcohol whatsoever, it is destructing your life. So please abstain from alcohol. Water is far better. Okay? That is something that we can learn from it. How about this? Drinking enough water can actually help you lose weight. And you're saying, really? Yes. Well, water intakes can increase satiety and slightly boost metabolic system, or your metabolic metabolism, which can help burn calories. There's actually a system called water front loading. It's just a simple way of timing water right 30 minutes before the meal, so that your stomach is full of that water, or a couple of minutes before the meal, so your stomach is full of that water, and then you don't feel as full to drink, take the rest of the meal. So anyway, that's I can talk to you more about that. A study with 50 overweight women showed that drinking 500 milliliters of water before the meal 3 times daily for 8 weeks significantly reduced their body weight and body fat. Timing is very important. 30 minutes before meals can reduce calorie intake by promoting the feelings of fullness. That's what I was talking to you before. Another study found that those that were in a diet drinking 500, that's half a liter of water before the meal, lost 44% more weight over 12 weeks. Why were you drinking water? That's it. But the timing is very important, making sure that you drink adequate amount of water, and thus that 20 to 30 minutes before the meal can be a real blessing for you. Well, Pedro, but how about soda? Come on. Soda feels so good. It is so good. Besides, we have been told since infancy that if you are thirsty, pop a Coca-Cola, because that will quench your thirst. Literally. That's the message that we have been brainwashed with from a childhood. But no, let me tell you, these soft drinks will kill you. And so here are the negative effects that it will do. Sugary drinks do not promote a sensation of fullness, but rather give you extra calories so that you increase weight. the extra sugar is converted to fat in the liver. The sugar increase will then increase the abdominal fat area, and it is believed or shown that for every inch of abdominal area that you increase exponentially your risk of disease and mortality by all causes. Very important that you are aware of this. The sugar contained in those sugar drinks will then increase your insulin resistance. This will lead eventually to type 2 diabetes. It will have no nutrients for you, only calories that will make you more fat. It has that high sugar intake will then mess up with leptin, which will then interrupt your sensation of fullness. It will then make you addictive if it was anything less. Sugar is actually addictive. So it will make you addictive to it. And that will make richer those that sell Coca-Cola, not you. Think about that. Regular solid consumption will increase heart disease. When you do that, it will increase all types of cancer. That sugar will damage your dental health. It will then give you higher risk of gout. And it will have a higher risk of dementia, which means your mind is not going to work well. I tell you, sugar indeed is not going to help you. That's why at the lower part of that screen, you see that vampire with that soda in his hands. It's a demon. It's a devil that is not good for you, and it is best for us to stay away from it, although society has made it like a common thing. As a matter of fact, where I work, the corporation, when I go to the corporate office, it's incredible. They, as part of their refreshment, they have sodas of every kind that you can imagine. They have also water, but the sodas are chilled and all there. And so, of course, you see one person come in and popping the soda. So it's almost like everybody's like, I got to get my soda. I got to get my coffee. I got to get my things. And so these things are detrimental to your health. So every time I'm there with my coworkers, I tell them, whenever they say they got to get their coffee, I say, no, water is better for you. So I get on their case about it. They know me already by now. Now, it's important that you drink the highest quality of water. And bottled water, if it's the best one you can get, okay, drink it because it's the best. But bottled water also has an increased risk of microplastics in them. So when you have water, it is always best to get it from a natural source and keep it into a glass container or stainless steel. Bottled water also has had microplastics shown up that they can show up in your arteries later on. Well, the $1,000 question, Pedro, is which one is the best water? Don't worry, that's going to come right after we have the practical area. And I'm going to walk you through very simple ways for you to get your best water, and that will be a real blessing for you and very inexpensive as well, so that we can do this. All right, let's talk about some herbs that could be a real blessing for each one of us. This little disclaimer at the bottom lets you know that I am not your doctor. I am not a doctor. I'm an herbalist. And my job is to train you and show you the beautiful things that God has in the herbs for you. You ought to talk to your physician as you're making changes. Dandelion. Why is dandelion important? Dandelion is an amazing herb that God has given us. And most people consider it a weed. And they want to get rid of it. I tell you, dandelion, it's a beautiful blessing that God has given us if you learn to use it. Not only is it good in all the different areas that I'm going to read here from the clinical research, but it actually can be made into a salad and is very nutritious and a real blessing for you. So dandelion had been shown to have gastrointestinal health, very good for you. It has been shown by treating digestive disorders, including dyspepsia, anorexia, stomach disorders, gastritis, and enteritis. A review shows that the dandelion could really help in all of these areas, and it showed that it has a potential pharmaceutical effect against the gastrointestinal disorders, including the dyspepsia, reflux, gastritis, small intestinal ulcer, ulcerative colitis, liver diseases, gallstone, acute pancreatitis, and gastrointestinal malignancy. These show that the dandelion root can serve as a non-toxic and effective anti-cancer alternative as well. And so it is very helpful with all digestive diseases, as well as a blood tonic. It also helps in the area of liver to be able to take care of it as well. As I mentioned before, it's liver protective. Studies show that the root in a model of acute liver failure, it showed that it had potential hepatoprotective effect of the particular extract from the root. It also works as a diuretic, and this is where it has its claim to fame. If you look at as a diuretic, meaning you want to make sure that it eliminates the extra water, dandelion has it's one of the most studied herbs up there. A pilot study with human subjects investigated the diuretic effect of the high-quality fresh leaf of the dandelion. The results showed that an increase in urinary frequency and volume suggested a promising diuretic effect of the dandelion in the extract for humans. Now, what it goes on to say in the research, I didn't put it there for lack of space, is that dandelion can be used without the negative side effects of all the other diuretic drugs. You could take a diuretic drug, but again, it's going to be very harsh on your kidneys rather than dandelion, which is going to be not only nutritive, because it will help replenish the things that you need as you excrete more urine, but it also be very gentle in the system as it also takes care of your liver. It has hypolipidemic and antioxidant effects. This means that it helps lower cholesterol and is also an antioxidant. And you might be thinking, what in the world is that whole antioxidant thing and why is that important? Keep in mind that your body makes 10,000 free radicals every day. What is a free radical? A free radical is a cell that now is out of balance. It has lost one of the electrons in its rings. And that's what is called a free radical. It's completely out of balance. And what it does is that it goes around the body trying to take that extra electron from other cells. And you might be thinking, well, that's not a big deal. But it is a big deal because when this cell begins to invade other ones and become unstable, it could actually create cancer later on or disease in other forms. Now, antioxidants are such a blessing that God has created because these particular substances have extra neurons in their rings. So what they can do is that they can share with the other ones. So when the free radical comes over to the cell and says, I want to take the one from your ring, the other one says, sure, I got extra. And they share. And what happens is that free radical cell is then normalized. So as they share these electrons around, these antioxidants help normalize this, and it helps the overall immunity of your system and also lower cholesterol. That's why in the studies, they wanted to see what happened with the respiratory diseases and COVID. So as you can see here, although not strict clinical study, a review mentioned potential of gastrointestinal benefits of dandelion and the potential against SARS-CoV-2 based in a traditional use for respiratory and digestive disorders. Very, very important. It's anti-diabetic. It could help with diabetes. It helps with the immune modulation of the system. It has anti-tumor effects and many other things that the Lord has given it. If you eat it, it could have a prebiotic effect as well, feeding the healthy gut bacteria. And all of this shown in the clinical research. All of that in that pest that we want to get rid of, that weed of dandelion that is so freely available. Even today as I was walking up the road, I saw some beautiful open dandelions that God has left there. He has left it there not only to show the beauty of the flower, but also take care of our health if we need it in that regard. Okay, what parts of it are used? Most of the time, it is the root. Dandelion roots are commonly used in the herbal medicine for their potential liver and gastrointestinal benefits, and also diuretics and the detox. The leaves can be used as diuretic as well, and they're a rich source of vitamins and minerals, particularly in vitamin A and potassium. This is the amazing, how can I say, engineering of God. When you have a diuretic, let's say you were to take a regular drug, what they will do is that they will give you a diuretic, but with the diuretic, they will also give you a supplementation of potassium. Why? Because as you have more bodily fluids go through your kidneys, you also can excrete more potassium. If you have more potassium going out, that will imbalance your electrolytes, which then could imbalance your heart, mess around your endocrine system, which then manages your hormones, and a mess could happen. Okay? So what they do is they say, well, okay, if I'm going to increase my throughput of volume in a diuretic, I'm going to have to also replenish the potassium. Are you following me? So they will give you a diuretic and potassium supplementation. That's not just because they just want it to be nice. That's just because they understand that when you have increased fluid throughput, then you have to supplement your potassium. But guess what? Dandelion has both in the herb. Automatically, by design. It is not only a diuretic, but it also supplements your potassium naturally. I mean, go on to say whatever you want to say, but when I look at this intentional design that God has put in the herbs, I just marvel at the incredible things that God can do. Nature got it first. God put it there first, and medicine really, truly is learning from the amazing things that God has provided there. The flowers can be used also in salads. Very important. Now, this is something I learned recently. I did not know this until recent years, but this is something really cool. Let's say you're going about and you got a spider bite or a mosquito bite or something that created a reaction in your skin. If you pluck the dandelion, the flower, the stem, when you pluck it, if you pay attention, you will see a little white resin that comes out. You guys seen it? And so if you pluck it and you take that resin and you put it right onto that area where you have a dermatitis or something similar to that, or a mosquito bite or something like that, it actually helps by acting as an antiseptic. So the dandelion milky white sap has been traditionally used for conditions such as warts, blisters, or the minor skin irritations. And it's actually right there and then available for you. So if you got some dandelions, think about it twice. They are a real blessing for you as we see the things that God has used. The seeds can also be used, and they have been used in TCM, that's traditional Chinese medicine, for these things. And the whole plant can be used for liver cleanses and the overall conditions that we have already talked about before. Oh, I saw that some people wanted to take a picture. We'll leave that there so you can have that. And so how do we use it? The root normally is used for liver and GI, and this you take it most of the time. Most people will buy it already in a dry root format, in a capsule. If you have the ability to have fresh dandelion, you can then make an infusion. How do you make an infusion? It's 1 ounce of dry herb to 2 cups of boiling water. And then you cover it in glass for about an hour or more. That's an infusion. That's a very strong preparation of that. And so for liver and GI, you take it about 2 times per day, 30 minutes before your meal. For diuretic, you take it as an infusion, specifically, right before your meals, 3 times a day. For nutrition, mix it with your flour, with your salad, and of course the flowers can be used, so also be used as that. Just make sure you get the young flowers. Those are, for my understanding, the ones that are fresh and not bitter. If you wait too long, they become a little bit too bitter. Here's the clinical research that shows the data that I'm showing you. Why is it important that you have a copy of this research and data? Is because when you talk to your physician about diuretics, your physician might not be aware that God has already dandelion for you and that it could be a real blessing. He might be just thinking about the drug training that he took because he never took the natural training that I'm sharing with you and might not be aware that this research actually exists. So as you're able to share this with your physician, it will be a real blessing if he's open to learn from it. And so that's the second page for it, that we can learn from that. I'll give you a bonus. This I shared recently from a trip that I had in Guatemala, and that is hibiscus as a blood and circulatory health. All right, so hibiscus has been very well studied for controlling high blood pressure. In this particular study of over 1,000 participants, it showed that it was able to control systolic and diastolic by 6 and 4 points respectively. This is very important because remember, you're talking about an herb that is very, very, very simple to take. And it could actually help you with high blood pressure because it calms things down and allows you to do that. You will see later on why it's so important as well. Another randomized trial found that it was able to normalize the blood pressure in both groups as well, and without any of the negative side effects. And that is the important part. In this group, the study showed that after 6 weeks, 68% of the participants in the intervention reached the target BP, meaning they started with high blood pressure, and after they were taking the hibiscus, they were able to come and be normalized completely, just taking this amazing herb that God has given us. Here is the research behind it and the clinical study that I was showing you before. And here is a picture of how you can take it. This is two forms. You can take it as an infusion, or you can take it as a powder. And it's an amazing cleanser that you can take for not only having good blood circulation, but also overall cleansing of the blood. It's very, very good for you. And it is a beautiful flower, just as well as you saw that before. All right, let's go right into the practical. How do we have enough water? You might want to take a picture of this because this is showing how you can calculate your water number. Some people might say, well, Pedro, I drink 6 glasses of water today, 8 glasses of water today. Well, question. If a person, let's say a little child that is 70 to 80 pounds, would they need to drink the 8 glasses of water today as an individual that is a full-grown male of 200 pounds? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And that is because body weight does matter. Because water is used to make that blood fluid, to allow it to be able to move forward into your body. And so you need to do the water amount based on your weight. Now, there are some things there that you also need to keep in mind, so I'll walk you through it. So how do you do this? You normally take your body weight and you multiply times 0.8. Okay, so that gives you 80%. Now that you have 80% of your body weight, you divide it by 4. Why 4? Because I normally recommend 4 water times. If people tell me, oh, I'm going to drink water all day long, that could be true, but most of the time you're going to forget. But if you have this water times, it's a lot easier to remember, okay, it's my water time. I got to go drink my water. So here's how I normally recommend it. First water time is as soon as you wake up. Second water time is 2 hours after your meal. Why 2 hours? Some people asked me before. And that is because when you have 1 hour after your meal, the food is being passed into the small intestine, but it's not fully there yet. When you have 2 hours, that allows enough time for all the food to make it into the small intestine. Overall digestion takes 4.5 hours when it's a plant-based meal. But it takes about 1.5 to 2 hours max to pass on completely. So that's why I say let's wait 2 hours after your breakfast, 2 hours after your lunch, and at 6:30 p.m., instead of the meal, taking a digestive walk. Cold water is what I recommend at that time. Why? Because that will give you intermittent fasting and it's going to accelerate your healing process, okay? So if you look at the very simple formula, a person who is 150 pounds, and of course this is in ounces, 80% of it divided by 4, then will give you 30 ounces. That means that he will drink those 30 ounces those 4 times a day, and that will give him enough water. Now, the only caveat to this is if you have too much weight, per se, and you find yourself that you calculate your water number and is beyond a liter of water per hour, then make sure you regulate to that. Okay? When you drink more than a liter of water per hour, it could actually influence your electrolytes, and it could be detrimental. So just keep that in mind. If you're having too much weight and you have to kind of work up to that number, make sure you take it so you not exceed 1 liter of water per hour. Very, very important. All right, very good. What is the best water source? Well, there are 3 levels that I normally recommend here when you look at water source. The number 1, the purest water you can get is called steam distilled water. You can get this in Amazon for about $280. This is US dollars, okay? I'm not sure exactly how that works out to Canadians. Maybe a little bit more. But basically is something you can find on Amazon. That's an actual picture of the one that we have. And it's a real blessing. When you have steam distilled water, it has gone through the highest level of purification. Why? Because it basically vaporizes, it condenses, and then it falls. And when it falls, it leaves behind all of the minerals, everything else. The only thing that falls is water. That basically mimics rain and the cycle of water that we have normally on the earth. That's the purest water you can get. Second purest water is reverse osmosis. This is something that, it's a little picture there on the right. You can put it underneath the kitchen sink. There's some that you can put it on top. It's basically a charcoal filter with a sediment filter, another charcoal filter that all works by water pressure. And it's a real blessing. In my particular case in our home, we went from 150 to 200 parts per million to 5. And so it left the water very clean. Now, all of those part per millions were probably minerals and things that were in my well water, that some of them might be beneficial. And some people say, well, Pedro, don't you want the minerals in your water? I say, yes, I want the minerals, but not in my water. I want them in the original design as it was in the food source. Your vegetables has the higher amount of minerals that you can get there. If you have too much calcium in the water especially, it can actually lead to kidney stones from well water. So pay attention to that, especially if you have well water. Make sure that it is filtered so that you have pure water, and get your vitamins and minerals from your food source. It will be the best. Now, lastly is the charcoal filter. This is the least expensive one. You can find it on Amazon. And this one is completely without any power. It's just basically a filter in the middle. It's called Berkeley's. And you can just basically put that water filter or that filter in the middle. And as the water moves by gravity from top to bottom, it filters through and it gives you filtered water. It's also a blessing. But of course, you have to change the water filter and so on and so forth, the charcoal filter every so often. So make sure that you drink the purest water, but don't drink water with your meal. Why? Well, 2 things will happen. Number 1, water will take the volume in your stomach that is supposed to be taken by your meal. And when the water goes, you're left without no food. And so you have less energy to carry you on to the next meal. Okay? The second thing is because it will dilute your hychloric acid. This acid is important to break down the proteins so that you can get the nutrients out of your meal. So when you drink with your meal, you're diluting those gastric juices, and it's not the best for you. When is the best to drink? It's to drink before the meal. That is, about 20, 30 minutes before the meal. Drink your water there, and make sure that you then leave enough time to drink with your meal. I'm sorry, not drink with your meal. Okay, this is that action time that we talked about. Very important that you take some time to please think about, when are you going to do this? So I want to give you 30 seconds to think and jot down in your phone, in your mind, or in a piece of paper. When are you going to do this? When are you going to calculate your water number? So that is your weight, 80% divided by 4. Calculating or putting a schedule for drinking water. Those 4 times that we talked about. As soon as you rise, 2 minutes after, 2 hours after breakfast, 2 hours after lunch, and at 6:30 p.m. with cold water, and skipping that last meal. And make sure that you plan a good water source and test your water. Okay, a couple more seconds for you to think about that and be able to do that. Okay, and now this is an interactive part. I know that you will be a blessing. Now, to do this, experiment, I need a volunteer that will come up here with me, okay? And I will show you something very, very cool that we can do together. Not everybody at once. That you're gonna come. You need a mic when you come, but I'll need a volunteer. Don't worry, it's not that you're not gonna drink anything, do anything. It's just gonna be fun things that we do here. I'm looking at my wife for volunteering, and she doesn't want to volunteer. She's like, no, I don't want to volunteer. Okay, anybody else? Pastor want to volunteer. Pastor has been voluntold to come to come and help. So, Pastor, I need a help, and I wonder if you could help me up here. Pastor is a brave soul. We're going to be able to do this together. All right, very good. So, Pastor, here is what I want you to do. I want you to look, okay, right across the body of water, okay? I'm going to show you something here, but I want you to look right through it. No, right here. So you're going to look right through here at this little paper that I'm going to show you here, okay? All right, so here you go, because you're going to have to answer this. Now, I want to show this to everybody before this. Now, which way is the arrow pointing? What is that way? This way, right? Okay. Now, for you, which way is the arrow pointing?
It's pointing to my right.
It's pointing to your right. You're absolutely sure of that?
It's pointing to my right.
Okay.
It's pointing to my right.
And you're absolutely sure. Okay, I want to make sure of this. Which way is the arrow pointing? Okay, that way. And for you, which way is pointing?
Pointing to the right.
Pointing to the right. Okay, you're absolutely sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I want you to then look through the glass. Okay. And this is the same paper, and I want you to look at that paper. Which way is the arrow pointing?
The arrow is pointing to the left.
I'm sorry, excuse me? Okay, which way is the arrow pointing?
There it's pointing to the right.
There it's pointing to the right. Okay, let's do this again, okay? Now, this is just a glass of water. There's nothing important there. I want you to look through it again, please.
All right.
All right, so please do that. And same arrow. Which way is it pointing?
It is pointing to the left.
Okay. How could it be that the arrow is changing direction? I mean, it's pointing to the right here.
It's called the refraction of light.
Aha, very good. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yes. Now, what's happening here is the power of water. What's happening here as the ray of light are hitting the water volume here, it's actually inverting those lights and those rays, and his eyes are actually perceiving the image flip the other way around. So literally, when the arrow is put down, he actually sees it pointing to the other direction. But folks, this is exactly what water can do for your life. If you're going into the direction that is not good for you, water can change the direction that your life is pointing into a better one. Okay? So the power of water could be a real blessing. And of course, we happen to have a math teacher here who knew exactly what I was talking about as we were able to do, and a pastor. So it's very important that we know that water can be a real blessing. I want to finish up with this wonderful story of healing from water and President Roosevelt. Now, this is President Roosevelt from the United States, and most people don't know that actually President Roosevelt was crippled. Okay? Now, President Roosevelt, Franklin Roosevelt, was the president of the United States, and he had significant condition with water healing. In 1921, at the age of 39, Roosevelt contracted polio, and that left him paralyzed. He carried out this very, what is that? I'm sorry. Oh, okay. I think we're having some technical issues. Let's see if we can. Okay. All right, let's put it back in. Having some difficulties there. There we go. Go back. Okay. Thank you. All right, so he was paralyzed as he contracted polio. So that left him with the inability to walk at all. He was paralyzed from the waist down. All right, and so you're thinking, wait a minute, I always saw President Roosevelt standing up and walking. What happened? How did this happen? Well, read on. President Roosevelt then discovered the therapeutic benefits of thermal springs. And that happened in Warm Springs, Georgia, in 1924. Roosevelt was so impressed with the healing properties of the warm mineral water that he purchased the resort in 1926. This cost him 2/3 of his fortune. All the money that he had, he invested into it, and then he turned it into a foundation to help others figure out or find out the very same rehabilitation that he found from the waters. So when he was there, what he found is that these thermal waters were such a blessing to him that it actually rehabilitated him to the point where he could, with basically metal rods that he wore down in his leg, he could have a cane on his right and kind of swivel his legs to be able to walk. And if you pay attention, you will be able to see it in the videos where he's shown walking. Most of the time, he's just shown standing there, holding onto the podium, or just thereafter. They're just kind of behind closed doors as he was walking. But he was actually and invalid. So he left that to be of a benefit to other people. Let me just kind of show you this before. That is the equivalent of today of $3.2 million that he invested into that area. If you see the picture there, you see that children with polio, with the nurse in the water holding him so that he could float, that he can find relief. This was the only thing that he found relief. Not only did he find relief in the water, he also found relief in sunlight. He rented, although he was very well off financially, he rented a little houseboat and would spend all his day around the lake or around the rivers into the sea fishing. That's what he would do, and exposing himself as much sunlight as he could. And he actually develop a little pulley system to lower himself up and down from this boat so that he could swim and be able to do exercise. So here on the left, you see a picture of all the children as well that were blessed by the things that he was able to experience. So while the healing waters did not cure his paralysis, they provided significant physical and psychological benefits. Roosevelt regularly visited the water springs throughout his presidency, and he called it his second home. Roosevelt died in a small home in Warm Springs, the little house, and his experience of the Warm Springs significantly influenced the empathy for the suffering of others that has staged or shaped policies. The Warm Springs Foundation became a model of rehabilitation for what it was termed at that point hydrotherapy. Roosevelt was able to find the fulfillment of this very blessing that we find in the book of Revelation. Revelation 22, 1-2 tells us, "Then the angel showed me the river of water of life, as clear as a crystal, flowing from the throne of God and of the Lamb down the middle of the great street of the city. Each side of the river stood the tree of life, bearing 12 crops of fruit, yielding its fruit every month, and the leaves of the tree are for the healings of the nations." The healing virtue, the blessings that God has in the natural things that He has created in water are incredible. And so I encourage you to take part of it and experience that blessing that God has for you and I. All right, so this is our Q&A. I'm just going to put a little timer here so that we have. Do you have any questions about what I've just covered from the area of water? Any questions that you might have in this regard? Yes, sir.
Can you get too much water?
Yes, you can get too much water. As a matter of fact, I tell a little story of what happened in Chicago. There was a radio station that used to give out tickets to cruise if you were to do their challenge. And that time they said, whoever drinks the most water, it's going to win this ticket. And so this lady drank 5 liters of water in one sitting. And shortly after, she died because she was later on with kidney failure, and it was just not a good thing. So yes, you can drink too much water. That is why when you calculate your water number, which is based on your body weight, you want to make sure that you never exceed 1 liter of water per hour. That is the recommended limit that is safe to drink, okay? Unless, of course, you're working in the garden and sweating like pigs, right? No, pigs don't actually sweat. Sweating like a horse. That's an oxymoron, but most people don't realize that. But anyway, if you're sweating profusively, yes, you can drink more water because you're eliminating, by the way. But if you're not, overall, it's better to keep at the rate of 1 liter of water per hour as a max. So, yes, madam.
What do you know about Kangen water?
Whose water again?
Kangen.
Oh, canning water. Okay.
Kangen, K-A-N-G-E-N.
Okay, is it?
Brand name for electrolyte.
I got you. See, the water has a higher pH. Sure. And they have it not only from that brand, but they have it also from another brand called Smart Water, Volcanic Water, etc. So when you look at water normally is not too much acidic or too much alkaline. So it's sitting right at a pH of around 7, around there. When you get water that is alkaline, so you move the pH higher, it is believed to be helpful or beneficial. The problem with this is the transportation. You see, if you were to drink it coming out of the canyon or out of the volcanic rock or whatever, what is naturally stable, then it is truly to be a blessing to you. But the moment you put it in a bottle and you carry it somewhere else and it goes through the fluctuation of temperature, that pH begins to change because it begins to interact with the plastic that is in, etc., etc., etc. So most people, for me personally, although there are benefits to get natural like spring water or mineral water that is at a higher pH, if you were to test it again, you will figure out that by the time the bottle and give it to you, they lost most of the benefits. So it's really more of a advertisement hype than it is of the natural thing that you can get. Now, there are some benefits to, for instance, some of the minerals. Like, for instance, some of them might be high in magnesium. Yes, that can help you be relaxed and be a blessing. There are some devices that you can put water through that could make the pH higher. Pay attention to how they do that, because most of the time they put calcium into it, then they charge the calcium so that it makes the pH higher. If you do that and you have kidney stones, you're setting up yourself for failure. So you got to be careful of what is going on there. So what do I recommend to people? Drink pure water. That is the best. It is the most inexpensive and it is the easiest. How about your minerals, your vitamins, and all the stuff? Get it from the right source, the food source. That is the source that God created with the fiber and all of the package together, that as you digest it, you're able to take it. But if you had a beautiful spring that was clean water coming out of the rock and you knew that it was clear and the deer was not making their business upstreams, then yes, for sure, drink that without no problem. But if not, then make sure you have filtered water. It will be the best for you. Okay? All right. Any other questions you might have? Okay, 2 hands. I don't know which one's first. Well, since this question had their side, we'll ask this and we'll come back to this. Yes, madam.
How about the benefits of warm water in the morning, right after?
What about the benefits of warm water in the water and getting up? Okay, so here is the logic. Warm water, well, they discovered, because, they had discovered cold water, so they had to discover warm water, right? No. Here's the thing. The whole reason why warm water became, famous is because they theorized that it could help you lose weight by doing nothing, by drinking water. Here is the theory. The theory is quite simple. The body maintains homeostasis at 98.6 Fahrenheit, okay? If you to drink water that is too warm or too cold, the body has to actually bring it to the body temperature before it's then used, all right, or take it. So when you drink warm water, it is easier for the body to bring it up to that temperature. Not hot water, but warm water. If you drink too hot water, then it has to, use more calories. It takes more calories to cool down water than it takes to warm up water, okay, warm up water. And so in a sense, the idea is that you take warm water in the morning so it's easier for your body to bring it up to homeostasis and be able to use it, okay? Now, there are people that say, well, I want to lose weight, so I'll drink it very hot, like a tea, and that helps you lose some weight. Yes, there is some benefits to that. You might lose extra calories here and there, but you know where you lose the most calories the best? Exercise. That is where is that, folks. I know we become very ingenious as humans of how to burn out calories by doing nothing. But I tell you, the best way to burn calories is doing exercise. And so if you wanted to do that with water, the best way is in the morning, warm water. In the evening, cold water. Why? Because the same is true. The stomach will have to draw a large amount of blood into that area to warm it up. As you're doing that, it's thinking that it's digesting the meal, but it's not. It's just warming up the body. And so what do you gain? You gain the extra calories that you were able to burn, and it prepares you for intermittent fasting where you can do the deep tissue repair. You know what's going to happen next morning? You're going to be very hungry. And you're going to have a strong breakfast. Yes, and that's exactly what you want. You want to have breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dinner like a beggar. And most beggars don't have dinner because they don't have food to buy. And so the idea is make sure you have a strong breakfast, strong lunch. You'll be far better blessed with what is called intermittent fasting. Great question. Yes, madam. That was your question. Okay, so your ladies were synced up already. Okay, very good. Our time has gone, and I want to close up by letting you know that we have one more lecture. It's temperance. It's going to be a blessing. It's going to blow you out of your minds. I assure you that, because a lot of people don't have a right conception of temperance, and it could be affecting you, and you do not know it. So I encourage you to come back. Think about when you can drink that water in those 4 times per day. Very important. And to be able to put in practice the things that we learn. But God bless you, and we'll see you in the next one.